there a house or building in your neighborhood that has become a nuisance? What does it take before someone does something about it? We're here with Saginaw County Treasurer Tim Novak today. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so just last week we had this story where we were asking the tough questions about a garage that fell onto a neighbor's fence in Saginaw.
Yes.
But by the week was over, it was removed. So initially there were concerns that it could take weeks to get that building removed. Why is that?
So the whole demolition, it's a process. And kind of the first thing is we identify a certain amount of money every year, and it would take like $8 to $10 million if we wanted to clear out the city today, if we wanted to roll through. So that on the front of it. So, and then one thing is if you have a blighted structure in your neighborhood is to find out who owns it. And that's kind of the first piece of it. So what's the ownership, and then you kind of roll from there. If it's private, that the city the township has to go through a whole different process. But if we own it, really the process starts from we identify it. Is it something that's vacant, blighted? Is the cost of it cost of renovation going to outweigh, the taxable value, things like that. So after we identify that, then becomes we have to put the project out to bid, and to ensure that the process is fair. It lays out expectations for the contractor. We get to verify that they have insurance and do reference checks and things like that. And then we have to do an environmental assessment. If you think about it, what are we tearing down, what are we leaving, and what are we going to haul away? And what's gone on there for the last 50 to 100 years. The only way to find that out is to send a crew of folks that went to school for that kind of stuff, and they check those things. And then after we verify what's there, now you have to run in and do that abatement work. And the state and DEQ and EPA require us to provide things like 10-day notices and things like that. Utility, we have to call Consumers Energy to come in and disconnect the gas and electric. And then we have the demo work, and then we have, then we go through and we fix the curbs and the grass and all that kind of thing. So it's really a process that can take a few months if all of the ducks are all kind of in a row.
Yeah, that certainly does sound like quite the process. So let's talk about asbestos. Why is that such a problem during demolition?
Well, so you have a hazardous material, and this was something that was years ago. It's a fire retardant and to help in. It's used in insulation, ceiling. In ceiling tiles, floor tiles, pipe wrapping, and if they're disturbed, it becomes airborne and can cause issues for neighbors and workers that are working on site. So, they have to have licensed contractors out there, and the proper types of outfits that they wear, and they have the enclosure and things like that. So it's really a safety for the neighbors and the workers that those things are handled in a proper manner. They have to take into a certain type of landfill, and they have to cover the truck, and they water the area down. And so it's something we have to consider, and the DEQ and the EPA frown upon incorrect removal of that type of stuff.
Right, of course, very dangerous. So when we're talking about this garage from our story last week, why was that able to be removed so quickly?
So if a building is a imminent danger, and in this instance, the garage, we had sent somebody out a few weeks before, and so we got the call, sent somebody out, right early at sunrise the next day, and the garage had moved, and and the lady's house was close to there. So we called the city, and John Stemple in this instance has the authority, along with the fire chief, to say that that's an imminent danger, that's a problem that could cause something, needs to go now. And so as he declares it an emergency demolition, then we're able to things like waive the 10-day notice. We don't necessarily have to go out for bid for projects and things like that. And we're able to remove the garage. And of course, the house is still there, as we talked about this last week. That's not an imminent danger, but it's still slated for demolition sometime in the very near future, but we'll follow all the rules for those. So we get to kind of work within the rules, and then there's some other folks that have some authority to allow us to go outside the rules.
That's scary that it had moved just from one day to the next, too.
Yeah, it's scary.
All right, well, thank you.